Starting out in the industry when I was 15 years old, over 22 years ago, I've worked at some of the UK's best restaurants. I started out washing pots when I was 15 years old and quickly progressed to doing vegetable prep, which I found really, really interesting. I went to college and got my relevant bits and pieces of paper, and then I moved on and worked for an incredible chef called Simon Shaw. He taught me the importance of flavour, tasting, seasoning, and how to really, really run a kitchen. It was here where we featured on Gordon Ramsay's The F Word and won the UK's best local Spanish restaurant. I then moved to London and worked at Terroir restaurant, starting out as sous chef and ended up being head chef running the entire place. It was a great experience. The main focus of this place was natural wines, no sulfates, no hangover. It was also voted the best restaurant in London by Time Out magazine. Following my successful appearance on MasterChef for Professionals in 2016, I opened my very own restaurant. Off the back of that, we also opened Grön, a vegan-friendly Scandinavian-inspired café. We now have 3 across the north in Leeds, York and Harrogate. Getting into cooking for me was more of a necessity. I'm not from a wealthy background, and like any other 15-year-old kid, I wanted money to hang out with my pals. So I jumped into a local Italian restaurant as a pot wash, and when I was in there I was hands in the sink, and I'd bring the pans back into the kitchen and the chefs would be screaming and shouting, and there's fire and salt and waiters and plates smashing all over the place, and that was, for me, that was my moment. I realised that I wanted to be in this environment and make a career out of it. It's something that still I hold dear to me now, is that moment where I realised that I could do this. Can I be a chef? Yeah, totally. It's not an overnight thing. It's something that you really have to learn, you really have to concentrate. A lot of people fall into the industry because they're not academic, or they feel like they can't go to university or go to college, but it's not that. It might feel like that in its infancy, but when you get into it and you learn the depth of flavour, you learn what salt does, you learn what acid does, you learn what heat does. It's so interesting. It's like a science. It's a crazy, crazy science on fire. I think if a chef comes to me and they've got skills, if they've worked somewhere else, that's great. But if somebody wants to come to me and they want to learn, I expect them to turn up, have clean pressed chef whites, and have a really good attitude. And for the 4th one, I know you asked me for 3, but for the 4th one is a little notebook in your back pocket. So if I tell you how to make something, you write it down and you create your own encyclopedia of recipes. My approach to cooking is simple. It's a funny word because simplicity isn't simple. To make something as simple as a roast potato, there's technique involved, there's heat, there's seasoning. It's something as basic as that, a potato and oil. That's what it looks like in ingredients, but it's the method behind it for the finished product is something to behold. So my approach to cooking is simple. Don't overcomplicate things with thousands and thousands of ingredients. Use 5 or 6 and just make them shine.